My son's fiancée mocked me in French at dinner. Discover the unexpected transformation that followed. Martha stood in the kitchen, her heart racing as the clock ticked closer to the dinner hour. Jake's upscale fiancée, Elise, was on her way, and the modest home they'd built together felt more vulnerable than ever. She had always prided herself on nurturing Jake, a charming college senior poised to graduate. They shared laughter, warmth, and close-knit moments, but tonight the tension was palpable. The invitation to a woman from wealth felt like an uninvited guest creeping through Martha's mind, feeding on her insecurities. As the doorbell rang, Martha wiped her hands on her apron, forcing a smile. Elise entered with confidence, her laughter like a silken ribbon unfurling. She was articulate, charming, and effortlessly elegant, all traits that exposed the cracks in Martha's carefully constructed self-image. When Jake introduced her to his mother, a familiar unease fluttered in Martha's stomach, casting shadows over her heart. Would she stand tall, or would she crumble? Dinner commenced with delicious aromas wafting through the air, laughter echoing off the walls. They shared stories, memories punctuated with warmth, but Martha felt the air shift when Elise turned to her with a playful smirk and uttered something in French. Jake, unbeknownst to her, had picked up bits of the language in his studies. The laughter that followed felt like knives twisting in Martha's gut, the weight of the mockery heavy in the air. The innocent gleam in Jake's eyes faded as he translated, the sting of disrespect resounding in Martha's ears. Caught off guard, Martha's mind raced. How could she protect her dignity without upending Jake's happiness? The battle within was suffocating. Her experiences and sacrifices flooded her thoughts. Each night spent nurturing means, each paycheck saved for Jake's education. The conflict raked at her heart. Resentment for Elise's privilege gnawed at her, battling the instinct to keep peace for Jake's sake. It wasn't just the words Elise had spoken. It was the venomous condescension that struck at the very respect Martha had fought so hard to earn. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. That night, as she lay in bed replaying the scene, an ember of fury ignited within her. Instead of retreating, she opened a book on French grammar she had tucked away, determined to make each word a shield against Elise's condescension. Night after night, long after her exhausting shifts as a dental hygienist had ended, she'd slip into the world of language, unearthing passion. Yet, she stumbled upon something deeper. Writing sparked a fire in her soul. The stories of her own struggles, her experience as a single mom, each tale weaving resilience into her identity. Was it possible that writing could be her new outlet? Each story echoed with the turmoil of her past, the pleasure of reclaiming a voice overshadowed by her son's impending future. But that new resolve faced a grim reality as she discovered Jake too hid insecurities, struggling with how their different social standings made him feel inadequate. As they shared their fears, raw vulnerability draping over them, a bond formed that they never knew they'd been missing. But as newfound determination pulsed through her veins, Martha felt the tension mount. What choice awaited her next? Would she confront Elise, exposing the realities of their shared existence? The dinner continued, whispers of truth hidden in the corners of polite conversation. The stakes rose higher, the facade of peace ready to shatter. Martha's heart raced as she prepared to step into her own light. Knowing the emotional battlefield lay ahead, Martha woke the next morning with a different frequency coursing through her veins. The anger from dinner had morphed into something else, an undeniable sense of purpose. The French words Elise had thrown at her reverberated in her mind, but now they felt less like a weapon and more like a challenge. She understood what she needed to do. The moment of passivity needed to end. With a renewed sense of determination, she turned to her study area that had fallen prey to layers of dust, remnants of a life interrupted by responsibilities. As she cleared the clutter, she felt a stark realization. It was time to reclaim her space and identity. Each discarded item represented a fragment of herself she had surrendered in the aftermath of motherhood. She pulled out the French grammar book, flipping through its pages as if they were portals to a new reality. Words that had once seemed intimidating now coaxed at her neurons. "Every noun has a gender," she murmured, contemplating her own. What gender had her identity worn? Was she feminine, insecure, or something much stronger? The intricacies inspired her. She was now both a protector and a creator. At work, every patient she received was a reminder of her resilience. The way they confided their fears about dental anxiety mirrored her own insecurities about fitting into a new social environment. Each smile she helped foster called to her soul, nudging her toward a purpose beyond scraping plaque. Yet the memories of Elise's mockery danced in the background, like a jarring symphony she couldn't ignore. By the time she arrived home, the late afternoon sun cast its forgiving glow through the kitchen window. Martha was ready to review some ideas for her first piece of writing. Her heart raced as she jotted down notes on her experiences, the late night studying, nurturing Jake, all while holding deep-seated fears and aspirations. Each line transformed into a declaration of freedom, an unearthing of buried voices vying for expression. Finally, she landed on a decision. It was time to confront Elise. The passive approach would not suffice. They needed to speak about the underlying tension in their relationship, her dignity in the balance. But would Jake support her? The thought twisted uneasily in her gut, raising the stakes even higher. She remembered his expression during dinner that night, torn between laughter and concern. Their bond was strong, yet fragile with this new dynamic. As the day turned into night, Martha's mind remained restless, rehearsing scenarios in the quiet of her room. Elise wasn't just a vibrant jewel in Jake's life. She was a mirror reflecting Martha's fears. How would she convey her feelings without unraveling their delicate threads? This was her personal truth, and it had to be articulated carefully, lest it splinter under the weight of unbridled emotion. With each passing moment, the tension built. Martha felt she was merging into a new version of herself, one that encompassed vulnerability yet radiated strength. She planned the conversation meticulously in her mind. "Elise, we need to talk," she practiced, paying attention to how her voice would sound, firm but not aggressive. This was about respect for herself and for Jake. But as Martha prepared for the confrontation she had long anticipated, another deep vulnerability churned within her. Could she expose her fears without losing Jake's love? The emotional tempest inside her collided with the urgency to protect what mattered most. What awaited her next? Would she gather the courage to speak truthfully, defining herself amid a complex tapestry of family and self-identity? Martha held her breath, reflecting on the precipice she stood on. Her next move felt monumental, poised to alter the very course of their intertwined lives in ways she dared not yet imagine. What awaited on the other side of truth? Was it liberation or even deeper entanglement? The answers fluttered just out of reach, urging her forward into the unknown. The morning of confrontation arrived with an electric charge in the air, a palpable energy pulsing through Martha that felt both thrilling and terrifying. She pushed aside the tumult of thoughts battling in her head, scanning the kitchen where Jake's breakfast still lingered, untouched. Today, she would take ownership of her feelings. Today, she would confront Elise. Martha dressed carefully, selecting a neutral-toned top that gave an impression of calm authority. She squashed the unsettling thought that clothing could somehow influence the outcome of the conversation. Yet, there was a subtle comfort in the idea of armor. Jake flashed her a warm smile as he prepared to leave for work, blissfully unaware of the storm looming just beyond the horizon of their seemingly tranquil morning. Each beat of his soft laughter made her heart swell with love, yet ached with the knowledge that her relationship with Elise could disrupt their fragile equilibrium. After Jake left, Martha paced the familiar confines of her living room, rehearsing the words that felt sharp yet powerful. How would she convey her discontent and insecurities without decimating their bond? Doubt hovered like an unwelcome specter in the corners of her mind. A single thought pressed insistently among the clutter. What would be worse, allowing Elise to continue to undermine her or risking Jake's affection? It was time to set aside other considerations to focus solely on her own truth. Martha grasped her phone, fingers hovering over Elise's name. With a deep breath, she summoned her inner strength and sent a terse message. "Can we talk later? I need to discuss something important." There it was, an invitation to confrontation. Now, all she had to do was hold on to the resolve that propelled her forward. The hours hung like leaden weights as she waited for Elise's reply. Martha immersed herself in work tasks to anchor her frazzled nerves, treating dental patients with care while internally rehearsing her argument. Each smile she conjured strengthened her resolve. She was not merely a provider of dental care, but a bearer of authentic experiences ripe for exploration. After what felt like a lifetime, Elise responded, suggesting they meet at the coffee shop downtown. The chosen locale unnerved Martha. Too public, too unpredictable. Yet, the thought of hiding behind the veil of domesticity seemed cowardly. She steeled herself for an encounter fraught with potential pitfalls. As the clock inched closer to their meeting, Martha's heart thudded in her chest. Choosing a seat near a window, she watched the bustling world outside. The baristas bustled, unaware of the emotional tempest brewing within her. She drummed her fingers on the table, a quiet reminder of her determination. This time, it would be different. She would not retreat into shadows, but stand taller in her skin, ready to fight for her dignity. When Elise entered, her presence filled the space with unrelenting energy that momentarily rattled Martha. Elise was vibrant and confident, the antithesis to Martha's lingering uncertainties. However, this time, Martha felt a spark of empowerment unfurl within her. As Elise approached, wearing that disarming smile, Martha resolved not to return it with nervousness, but with calm assurance. "Martha," Elise greeted, leaning slightly forward, "what's this about?" The moment had arrived, a pivotal juncture that would illuminate her path moving forward. "Elise, we need to talk," she began, steadying her voice as she drew inspiration from the weighty words she had meticulously rehearsed. Reality sharpened. She was not just there to air grievances, but to solidify her identity. With Elise waiting, eyebrows raised in curiosity, Martha continued, ready to confront the nuances of their relationship, the implications of her satire, and what it had done to the delicate fabric of her family. Every beat of dialogue crafted her mending heart, piecing together parts of herself she thought long abandoned. But as the conversation unfolded, the air became heavy with unspoken challenges looming. Would Elise dismiss her sentiments or acknowledge the weight of her anguish? Fear coiled tightly in Martha's chest, but she refused to succumb again to silence. The intensity of the moment crescendoed like an anthem of self-discovery. What awaited in the following exchanges? The potential for healing or deeper strife? With every question asked, the possibility of exposure loomed, threatening to lay bare vulnerabilities she had worked so hard to claim. Uncertainty crackled through the air. The battle for respect, identity, and connection had just begun. Would she emerge transformed or disheartened? The answer awaited just beyond the cusp of that moment. Martha took a breath, the air thick with anticipation and an underlying current of fear as she felt the weight of her truth hang between her and Elise. She needed to convey the simmering dissatisfaction that had festered, not only with Elise's words, but with her own silence. Each gaze exchanged felt like a small battleground, and she fought the instinct to look away, to retreat behind the defenses she had relied on for so long. "Your jokes, Elise, the ones you make at my expense, they hurt," she began, her voice steady but laced with vulnerability. As the words left her lips, a wave of uncertainty washed over her. What if they only escalated the situation, sending Elise into a defensive spiral? But she pushed that thought aside, reminding herself that her feelings deserved to be acknowledged, that she was entitled to this moment just as much as Elise was. Elise's smile faltered as she processed Martha's words. "I didn't mean anything by them, you know that, right?" she replied, her voice softening slightly. It was a response driven by familiarity, but also a quick attempt to deflect the confrontation. Martha wasn't swayed. "But the way you use humor, it diminishes me. It's not just playful, it's pointed." A flicker of realization crossed Elise's face, sending a bolt of glimmering hope through Martha. Perhaps this wouldn't be a futile effort. Elise leaned back slightly, her posture shifting as she considered Martha's claim. "I'd never thought of it like that. You always seem so unbothered. I thought you were laughing with us." There it was, the disconnect between perception and reality that lay at the heart of their dilemma. The realization cut deep. Martha had spent so long curating an image of strength and unyielding support, crafting a persona that everyone expected her to embody. But now, that same image had become a cage. The reflection of Elise's misunderstanding pierced through her, revealing the tangled roots of her own insecurities. No more hiding, no more pretense. The air was electric, charged with the knowledge that she was at a turning point, one that required courage and honesty. Being strong doesn't mean being invulnerable. I felt hurt, Elise, and it's time for you to see that, she continued, finding a steadiness in her resolve. I want to build a friendship with you, one based on respect, but I can't do that if I'm constantly being diminished. Elise's brows knitted together, and the initial defensiveness she'd shown began to melt away. "I'm sorry, Martha. I honestly had no idea. You make it easy to forget that you have your struggles. You're always so together." It was a crack in the facade, a glimpse into the shared human experience that contrasted sharply with their previous dynamic. Seeing the shift in Elise gave Martha a surge of energy. For the first time, she felt a connection, raw and real. This was the moment she had yearned for, where vulnerability met understanding. This dialogue held the promise of something transformative. Elise was willing to listen. Perhaps they could unearth a deeper friendship, rooted in appreciation rather than sarcasm. "Let's start fresh then," Martha offered, her voice softening as they both struggled with the complexities of their emotions. "And maybe we can communicate better in the future. I just want you to know how your words can affect me." Elise nodded, her expression shifting as if she was awakening to the possibility of a renewed bond. "I will make a conscious effort, I promise," she vowed, a sincerity in her tone that made Martha's heart swell with cautious optimism. As they spoke, the sunlight filtering through the window illuminated the table, casting shadows that danced like the uncertainties still fluttering between them. The conversation ranged on, gradually morphing into shared laughter and confessions of past misconceptions, binding them closer than before. But lurking beneath the surface was a tempest, a lingering doubt that echoed through Martha's mind. Could she truly forgive Elise for the time she'd belittled her under the guise of humor? Could their connection withstand the scrutiny of past grievances? As Martha processed these questions, the reality of her own empowerment began to settle in. This was only the beginning, and while renewal and respect were on the horizon, the work required to sustain such a bond loomed over her. The coffee shop, once filled with the tension of confrontation, now felt like a sanctuary, a place to begin reconciling who she was with the identity she needed to cultivate. But shadows still danced in the corners of her mind, reminding her that while some battles might have been won, others were just on the cusp of engagement. What revelations awaited her in this newfound relationship, and how would her confrontation with her own self-worth shape her future? The path forward flickered with uncertainty, inviting her to take the next step into a complex future she had yet to navigate.
Martha left the coffee shop with a mixture of exhilaration and anxiety swirling within her. The conversation with Elise had been enlightening, yet as she walked towards the library, where she spent countless hours buried in novels and research, the weight of unresolved issues loomed large. The thrill of vulnerability was quickly eclipsed by her lingering doubts. She needed to prepare for what lay ahead, not just with Elise, but within her own identity. It was too easy to retreat into this
familiar comfort of silence and compliance. In her collegiate days, Martha thrived in debates, standing firm on academic matters, yet had allowed her voice to fade in personal interactions. The contrast gnawed at her, thrusting unresolved feelings of inadequacy to the forefront. Arriving at the library, Martha sought a secluded table amidst the towering shelves. As she settled in, her fingers brushed the spines of the books, each one a whisper of wisdom waiting to be unlocked. A particular title caught her eye, Braving the Wilderness. It was a reminder that individuality was found in embracing uncertainty, and perhaps she could harness this moment of transformation as part of a greater journey. She opened the book, scanning the pages as she found herself reflecting on the underlying fear that had governed her life, the fear of not belonging, of not being enough. The thought pressed upon her, what if she never broke free from the self-imposed constraints? This realization fueled a growing desire to confront her unpaid dues regarding self-respect. In focusing on her personal development, Martha contemplated the moments still unreconciled with Elise and the brave steps she must take to protect her newfound boundaries. Trust was fragile, and even the smallest slip into old habits could undermine her progress. She needed a strategy, a plan to reinforce her self-worth while remaining open to challenges. Emboldened, she began to sketch a roadmap, jotting down areas of her life where she felt diminished. Personal goals emerged: attend workshops on public speaking, engage in conversations that pushed her comfort zone, and most importantly, practice asserting her feelings without fear of retaliation. The act of writing became cathartic, each word solidifying her resolve. As she scribbled ideas, she paused, noticing an elderly man at the adjacent table. He was engrossed in his work, surrounded by papers, yet he occasionally lifted his gaze like a painter scrutinizing his canvas. There was a familiarity in his demeanor that ignited an instinctive urge in her. She recognized the look of someone at the helm of their own introspection. "Excuse me," Martha found herself saying, surprising even herself as she spoke. The words felt bold yet necessary. "Can I ask what you're working on?" He looked up, his face etched with surprise, and smiled softly. "Oh, just some reflections on aging and the wisdom it brings." The conversation flowed easily, punctuated by shared laughter and unexpected insights. Martha found herself sharing snippets of her journey, emboldened by the warmth that emanated from this stranger. As they parted ways, the exchange left Martha with a satisfying weight, a reminder that her voice held value beyond her fears. She realized that each conversation could be a stepping stone, a foundation to build her self-confidence. The world was larger than she had confined it to, and so was her capacity for connection and growth. Walking home, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Today wasn't just about confronting old patterns, it was about laying a new foundation for who she wanted to. Eventually, she would need to revisit her interactions with Elise to truly shift the dynamics of their friendship. But for now, Martha embraced the momentum of change and the promise of unexplored possibilities. What forbidden conversations awaited her in her personal and professional life? Where would this boldness lead her next? As she climbed the stairs to her apartment, the echoes of her decisions reverberated, asking for more engagement, deeper connections. But would she be ready to face the repercussions of stepping so ardently into her own power? The following morning, sunlight filtered into Martha's kitchen, illuminating the optimism that had taken root in her mind. Brewed coffee wafted pleasantly through the air as she prepared for the day ahead. Her heart raced slightly at the thought of attending the public speaking workshop she had signed up for the previous night. It was a step into the unknown, yet it felt like the first tangible move toward reclaiming her voice.
Standing in front of the mirror, she practiced her introduction, considering how she would frame her thoughts within the context of her journey. The reflection staring back at her wore a mix of determination and trepidation. "You can do this," she muttered, but a flutter of doubt crept in. What if her ideas weren't profound enough? What if she stumbled over her words? The incessant what-ifs had been the backbone of her silence for far too long. As she arrived at the community center for the workshop, a wave of anxiety churned her stomach. A dozen individuals, each wrapped in their own cloaks of apprehension, gathered in the hall. Martha found a spot at the back, nervously tapping her fingers on the table. She listened as others introduced themselves, some vibrant and confident, while others spoke with hesitant timidity. When it came her turn, a sudden rush of warmth engulfed her. She stood, her palms clammy, and cleared her throat. "Hi, I'm Martha," she began, surprising herself with the steadiness in her voice. She took a deep breath, briefly sharing her aspirations of learning to express herself more freely. The honesty spilled forth, an earnest declaration that many in the room appeared to connect with. After the introductions, the facilitator launched into exercises designed to bolster confidence through feedback and improvisation. As the exercises progressed, Martha felt herself shedding layers of uncertainty, like old skin falling away. The transformations unfolding around her echoed within her. People were discovering strengths they hadn't realized they possessed. In her breakout group, a woman voiced her fears of public judgment, which resonated deeply with Martha. Suddenly, it wasn't just about her own growth, it was about connection on a collective level. The discussion sparked something deeper, a shared sense of vulnerability, and, paradoxically, strength surged through the room. Halfway through the session, Martha was paired with a charismatic man tasked with an impromptu presentation. He was magnetic, his confidence radiating as he navigated the challenge with humor and grace. Still, Martha felt an insistent spark.
Wouldn't it be powerful to channel her own fears into something equally compelling? Setting aside her notions of inadequacy, she embraced the challenge. She spoke about her journey towards self-assertion, detailing the conversation with Elise and the importance of reclaiming her voice. The room grew quiet as she wove her narrative through threads of courage. The instant feedback was electric. She realized that each laugh, nod, and smile responded not to a polished performance, but to her authenticity. As the workshop concluded, group members exchanged contact information, and a budding network of mutual encouragement was born, further energizing her resolve. Martha walked home with her heart swelling with pride, the echoes of their shared experiences reverberating in her mind. Each encounter left her soaring, fueled by the thrill of tackling vulnerability. However, with this newfound courage came an urgent realization. She would have to confront her relationship with Elise soon. The uncertainty loomed large. How would her friend react to a Martha who boldly expressed her needs instead of simply acquiescing? The anticipation nestled deep within her, amplifying the stakes. Tomorrow promised new challenges and reflections. Would she be able to articulate her feelings without retreating? As she climbed the stairs to her apartment, she pondered whether her burgeoning assertiveness would indeed be met with understanding or resistance. The next chapter of her journey awaited, ripe with complexity and the shadows of doubt. Would the risks pay off in authenticity, or would she unearth deeper conflicts within cherished relationships? The sun crested the horizon with a hesitant glow as Martha brewed her morning coffee, its familiar aroma igniting a mix of excitement and anxiety within her. Thoughts of her upcoming conversation with Elise filled her mind, an incessant buzz that seemed to amplify with each passing minute. Would she be able to voice her desires without retreating back into the shadows of passivity? As she sat at her kitchen table, a blank notepad in front of her, she felt the weight of the words she wanted to express. Her heart thrummed in her chest, caught between the potential for liberation and the fear of rejection. Today was pivotal, a turning point in her journey to reclaim her voice. She started jotting down her thoughts, a therapeutic release that pulled out raw honesty. "I need to share who I am," she wrote, "but can I do it without jeopardizing our friendship?" The uncertainty loomed larger than ever. The list continued,
filled with all the things she had felt silenced about for too long, her hopes, dreams, and disappointments. Each bullet pointed to a part of her she had kept tucked away, fearful of burdening others. After enough hesitation, Martha steeled her resolve. The time for change had come. She headed outside for a brisk walk, hoping the morning air would bolster her confidence. Each step felt purposeful, bringing a rhythm to her thoughts, propelling her forward. Outside, the world bustled with life. Joggers sped past, and the laughter of children echoed down.
The street. She absorbed the vibrant energy, letting it seep into her spirit. At the cafe where she had arranged to meet Elise, the anticipation bubbled within her. What would her friend think when faced with this new version of Martha? Someone more assertive, someone willing to demand openness and honesty. The prospect of confronting the familiar comfort of their friendship is daunting, but also liberating. As Elise arrived, Martha's heart did a somersault. Her friend was a constant source of support, but that also meant she had often become a sounding board for Martha's fears, rather than an equal partner in their exchanges. With a warm hug and a beaming smile, Elise settled across from her. The familiar ease of their shared laughter and light banter enveloped them for a moment, but Martha fought to hold on to her purpose. "Elise," she began, her voice wavering but steady, "there's something really important I want to talk about." The words felt colossal in her throat, a dam holding back a flood of emotions. The weight of her vulnerability started pressing heavily on her chest as she prepared to peel back the layers of years spent in silence. As Martha outlined her thoughts, she felt the stirrings of resilience building within her. This wasn't just a conversation, it was a declaration of her evolution. She spoke of her experiences from the workshop, how opening up had reshaped her perception of herself. She explained the urge to express her needs and desires, rather than just supporting Elise, a life spent echoing a story that didn't solely belong to her. Elise listened, eyebrows furrowing slightly as she absorbed Martha's revelations. Martha's heart raced at the uncertainty of how her friend would respond. Would she accept this new voice? Would she embrace this shift in their dynamic? After a brief moment of silence, Elise leaned in, her expression shifting between surprise and admiration. "Martha, I never knew you felt this way," she finally said, her voice thick with emotion. "Why didn't you say something sooner?" Martha's breath caught in her throat. The very question she had feared filled the air, threading the tension with an unexpected possibility for understanding. But as the moment stretched, she realized the true test of her journey lay ahead. Would she have the courage to confront the deeper implications of her words, to reshape not just her voice, but the very foundation of their friendship? The stakes grew higher as Martha prepared to navigate this delicate exchange. She sensed the ground shifting beneath her feet. There was no turning back. The complexity of expressing herself had begun, but would sincerity be greeted with acceptance or a plea for the status quo? As she awaited Elisa's response, doubt fluttered again, but this time determination accompanied it. The journey was just beginning, and both the risks and rewards awaited her with bated breath. Martha's fingers instinctively grasped the edge of the table, a grounding gesture as she waited for the words that would determine the trajectory of her newfound assertiveness. Elise's eyes searched hers, revealing layers of unspoken feelings, emotions that echoed Martha's own tumultuous thoughts. Would her friend accept a sincerity that, until now, had been cloaked in hesitation? Elise took a deep breath. "Martha, it's hard to believe you felt this way for so long. I care about you, and I want you to be honest with me. But why now?" Dragging her focus to the words unleashed from within, Martha felt a mix of vulnerability and defiance. "Because I realized I can't only be a listener in our friendship. I need to share the fears, the dreams, everything that is me." Silence hung thickly in the air, a palpable tension that threatened to suffocate her resolve. Doubt began to creep in, the old whisper questioning her decision to open this Pandora's box. Yet something deeper stirred in her, a fierce desire to expand beyond the boundaries she had let define her for too long. "It's not just you," Elise replied softly. I think I've taken your support for granted too. I always felt comfortable relying on you. Martha's heart clenched. There it was, the raw honesty she had sought. If she could confront her own needs, perhaps this shift could bring about an equally daunting evolution for Elise. They could cultivate a balance, a partnership where both felt empowered. What if we both made space for our voices, even when it's uncomfortable? Martha suggested, her voice steadier now as the adrenaline surged through her. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but if we both commit to this, maybe we can reshape how we communicate. Elise processed this, her brows furrowing in thought. The wrinkles of confusion on her forehead seemed to fade as clarity washed over her. I think I'd like that. We both deserve to express our true selves without fear. Martha couldn't contain the swell of relief. It wasn't an unspoken promise, not just of acceptance, but of evolution. Yet an internal alarm rang, reminding her that this commitment came with complexities. Carrying a newfound voice meant embracing the discomfort that came with challenging the status quo. As their conversation blossomed, they began to carve out space for one another. Laughter punctuated moments of seriousness, and shared stories morphed into truths previously left untold. But even amid this warmth, Martha recognized the underlying tension of untapped potential. Every moment of truth demanded deeper exploration, especially in a world where silence had once shielded her. Yet, in discussing boundaries, a question loomed. How far was she willing to go to maintain this shift? Would she have to risk deeper confrontations, not just with Elise, but with others in her life who may not embrace her evolution? Elise noticed Martha's sudden frown and delicately reached out to touch her hand. "What's on your mind?" "Just thinking," she breathed out, "about how this could change things for us and others." Martha hesitated, feeling the weight of uncertainties. What if others don't react well to my new assertiveness? What if this journey leads to unexpected rifts? Elise's gaze met hers, unwavering. That's a part of the risk we take. Reshaping our narrative means confronting others who may not want to adjust. A shiver ran down Martha's spine. Suddenly, her newfound strength felt as precarious as the ropes of a tightrope walker's balance. Could she face potential conflict without retreating back into silence? Her thoughts spiraled into contemplation as she weighed the cost of her authenticity. The realization settled in. There was no guarantee that those she loved would appreciate her transformation. But preserving her identity became paramount. As they concluded their meetup, a transition marked by both excitement and apprehension, Martha felt a pulse of hope beneath her uncertainty. She was taking steps forward, unfolding layers of herself like a flower daring to bloom in harsh conditions. With each passing moment, the breath of change encircled her, but she quickly understood the journey had only begun. Today was a starting point, but she was far from being free of the silence that had once dictated her existence. The next confrontation loomed on the horizon, the people in her life who would challenge this new voice. Armed with courage, Martha determined to face them all, ready to embrace whatever challenges awaited her. The ringing chime of her phone cut through her introspection. It was a message from another friend asking if she would join a gathering. A simple decision, but it was a bridge into a world she would either embrace or run from. Faced with yet another choice, Martha questioned, was she ready to step deeper into her authenticity? Martha stared at her phone, the message blinking back at her like a beacon. The invitation to the gathering felt like a lifeline, yet it was also an anchor, potentially dragging her back into familiar waters where silence thrived. What would it mean to step into that space with a voice that might challenge the established order? Taking a deep breath, she glanced at the window, the late afternoon sun spilling its golden light across the room. In that moment, a thought struck her. She had spent years shading her true self from the brightness of honest connection. She no longer wanted to shy away from the light. She wanted to shift into it, whatever the consequences. The commitment to her authenticity spurred a surge of adrenaline, yet an undercurrent of anxiety surged within her too.
This was the first social gathering since her breakthrough with Elise, and she found herself wondering, would she present a more assertive version of herself or revert to the familiar safety of avoidance? With uncertainty swirling in her mind, she decided she needed a strategy. The power of her voice was not just in what she said, but in how she said it. Martha pulled out a notepad, her pen poised above the blank page like a tightrope walker ready to take a step. What could she express clearly at the gathering? How could she?
Frame her thoughts to resonate without erupting into confrontation. Taking moments to jot down snippets, she put down phrases like, "I'm excited to hear your thoughts," and "I see things differently now." Simple yet profound, these lines felt like the scaffolding she needed to hold her newfound confidence up. Each note she wrote transformed her trepidation into determination. But a nagging fear whispered that the gathering could turn antagonistic. A particular hesitation surrounded the presence of Jenna, her son's fiancée. The two had shared a strained relationship laden with misunderstandings and veiled insults. Just last month, Jenna had mocked the way Martha prepared her famous lasagna, a flippant joke thrown at an otherwise heartfelt family dinner. What if Jenna decided to exploit the cracks in Martha's new resolve? The thought pierced her heart, and a familiar impulse stirred, the urge to dodge confrontation entirely. Yet this time she resisted. She wouldn't cower under another person's expectations. She would confront negativity head-on, ready to establish her boundaries clearly. The gathering day arrived, and as Martha stepped into the bustling atmosphere, she felt a stirring of both excitement and trepidation. Friends mingled, laughter filled the air, and the aroma of food wafted around her. She spotted Elena, their mutual friend, gesturing animatedly while Jenna stood nearby, a smirk plastered across her face, a calculated expression. Martha's pulse quickened. Could it be that her path of transformation was to unfold right here, in the midst of familiar faces? The very people she had surrounded herself with for years now held the potential for growth or conflict. As the evening progressed, the inevitable moment came when Martha found herself alone with Jenna, the atmosphere charged and crackling. Martha felt her hands quake slightly, but she steadied herself, remembering the words she had written down. "Jenna," she began, her voice steady yet firm, "I want to talk about something that's been bothering me for a while." Jenna raised an eyebrow, her expression inscrutable. The tension could be sliced with a knife, but Martha felt empowered as her authentic self emerged. The air hung heavy with anticipation. Would Jenna understand, resist, or retaliate? As Martha pressed forward, the stakes felt higher than ever. She was choosing to confront her fears rather than dismiss them, building a bridge where none had existed before. The sound of her own voice filled her ears as she prepared to engage in a confrontation aligned with her new identity. As she unveiled her thoughts, there was a palpable shift, a moment on the brink of disclosure that promised either a breakthrough or a rupture. Martha closed her eyes just for a second, gathering her thoughts before meeting Jenna's gaze. Would this moment redefine their relationship or plunge her deeper into the silence she sought to escape? The answer lay just a breath away. Martha stood in the cozy living room, feeling the weight of past uncertainties lift with each breath she took. The confrontation with Jenna had shocked her system at first, a weight of anxiety smashing against her newfound resolve. But as they navigated the complexities of their relationship, she squared her shoulders and embraced the uncomfortable dialogues, uncovering a layer of resilience she never knew existed. "I need to express something that's always haunted me," Martha began, her voice steady yet vulnerable. "Your comments often come off as hurtful, and it's been difficult for me." The room held its breath as she placed her heart on her sleeve, revealing the core of her discomfort with sincerity. To her surprise, Jenna's eyes softened. "I had no idea you felt that way, Martha. I thought I was just joking around," she replied, the defensive edge slowly dissipating. This moment sparked an internal recognition for Martha. She saw the potential for actual understanding blooming between them, a fragile flower that needed careful nurturing. As they continued their conversation, they exchanged stories of miscommunication, fear, and insecurity. Jenna began to share her own struggles, her efforts to fit into a world that sometimes felt alien. This realization turned the darkness of resentment into a shared burden they could lighten together. "I'm willing to change too," Jenna finally said, her voice a mixture of regret and hope. "I didn't mean to push you away." There it was, a bridge forming before them, as Martha felt a sense of accomplishment surge through her. From the depths of doubt and tension, she had forged a space for authenticity, not just for herself, but also for Jenna. The perceived threat had morphed into an opportunity for growth, a reminder that vulnerability could open doors to deeper connection. In this moment of revelation, Martha's self-assurance solidified. She had not only confronted her fears, but turned a potential conflict into a transformational experience for both of them. As the evening wore on, Martha slipped into conversations, sharing anecdotes with newfound grace. The gathering transformed from a battleground of emotions to a celebration of voices, hers no longer drowned out by others. The night was a tapestry woven together with laughter, healing, and deeper collaboration, shoring up the fragile connections that had once felt so vulnerable. Every smile exchanged echoed the truth of personal empowerment, strengthening her resolve to remain true to her values. Returning home that night, Martha reflected on the storm she had weathered together with Jenna. The uneasiness that once gripped her heart had dissipated, replaced by a burgeoning confidence. The quiet victories were monumental. She had actively chosen her voice, confrontations no longer seen as adversities, but as avenues to dismantle misunderstandings. The next day, as she walked through the dental clinic, the world felt more vibrant and alive. Each patient reminded her of her purpose, the patience and care she extended, now woven with this newfound strength. The snags of insecurity that once made her vulnerable unraveled further, one stitch at a time. Professionally, Martha decided to start a blog to document her journey, lessons learned, confrontations faced, and gradual transformations embraced. It was time her voice echoed beyond her immediate circle. Through written expression, she could reach out to others wrestling with similar battles of self-doubt and fear, galvanizing them to embrace authenticity. The initial step into digital storytelling felt daunting, yet as she penned her thoughts, each word flowed with clarity and purpose. She presented herself unabashedly, raw, real, and undeniably human. Weeks turned into months, and Martha began to witness feedback from her readers. Messages and comments trickled in, acknowledging their own struggles and victories influenced by her words. The online world became a mirror, a reflection of the individual growth she had meticulously crafted. Requests for workshops and speaking engagements began surfacing, and Martha found herself rising to the occasion. Each opportunity was not a mere sharing of experiences, but an assembly of collected wisdom inviting others to explore their journeys. Every time she stepped into those rooms, her confidence glimmered, no longer just a mother or a security blanket for others, but a fully realized person imparting her lessons learned. The culmination of her newfound authority unfolded when she received an award for local community impact, recognizing her focus on personal empowerment. Standing proudly on that stage, she was no longer eclipsed by others. She basked in the applause, aware that she had paved the way not only for herself, but also for others willing to seize their narratives. Martha had accomplished what she set out to do. She had shifted from a woman silenced by insecurities into a beacon of resilience. With stone-solid confidence, recognized competence, and an established voice crafting a new legacy, Martha knew her journey was far from over. This was just the beginning, and she welcomed the unfolding possibilities with open arms. Now, more than ever, she felt ready to conquer whatever awaited, standing firm in her identity with each step forward. It's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss our next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It makes a real difference. Comment your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this empowering conclusion. You need to support the channel to continue bringing these personal overcoming stories to life.